recently there have been people suggesting that we call pedophiles and rapists groomers. Their reasoning for this is because, this will allow us to meme about these rapists and pedophiles, and that will somehow help the problem or stop them, because they'll make memes about them. The issue is, those who understand power in this world, they use words and the emotional connections to words in order to influence people's subconscious minds, and thus their perceptions of reality, which then controls indirectly their actions, their views on the world, and their actions, how they act in the world, due to their actions being aligned with their twisted, subdued perception of reality. Again, twisted and subdued by emotional connotations attached to certain wording. In this case, folk are suggesting we call pedophiles and rapists, which has negative connotation, groomers. They'll make up excuses and justifications for this, but fundamentally, we will not do this, you will not do this. You will call pedophiles pedophiles, disgusting pedophiles. You will call rapists disgusting rapists. Scum. Okay? Absolute scum. They get the most negative connotation of evil scum possible. You never call them a groomer. Why? Because what does grooming mean in the subconscious minds of people? Thus, what would that association, that labeling, collectively over time, okay, allow? What type of behavior would it change in the masses through the changing of a perception of reality? Okay, what behavior would that allow? What would be tolerated due to that subconscious emotional connotation, labeling pedophiles and rapists as something positive and good? Obviously, the intent there is pedophiles and rapists themselves want to be called groomers. They're the ones that came up with the idea. They want to be called groomers. That way there's a subconscious positive connotation attached to them. Therefore, their behavior will be tolerated. They will be allowed to be pedophiles and rapists, and this will be considered a new sexual orientation. And if you don't accept and tolerate their sexual orientation, which is just love, then you're a bigot. Okay? So pedophiles want to be called groomers because that means in a few decades they can legalize pedophilia. But if we call them pedophiles and rapists, they can't. So it's only the pedophiles themselves who are putting this idea out and want to be called groomers instead of just being called pedophiles and rapists. Again, so that they can have that positive connotation attached to them, which will change the subconscious perceptions of reality in the minds of the masses, which will then change the behavior, because the behavior and the actions of a person always aligns with their subconscious perception of reality. You do what you do in the world in order to function and do what you do in the world in relation to how you see the world and how you perceive the world around you. If you perceive the world around you, you'll do things differently in that different perception, all right? In the differently perceived world. Therefore, if your perception is subconsciously altered to perceive pedophiles and rapists as a positive, good thing because they're groomers, which is positive and good, that has that positive emotional connotation attached to it, then over time, their behavior will be tolerated as positive and good, even just subconsciously, until the point where it's accepted and they can legalize pedophilia. So if you want to go down that road, call pedophiles groomers, create that positive connotation in the subconscious minds, which will change how people act, and they won't even have control over it because it's subconscious. You can't consciously control your subconscious actions and drives. So people won't even have control over it. They will just have to start automatically accepting and tolerating pedophiles, Why? Because pedophiles decided to change what they're called and have themselves labeled as groomers. So that's why you never call them groomers, you never accept pedophiles being called groomers, and you call them pedophile scum. Thank you.
Think about the groomer that was taking care of your expensive horse. A man who is to be married or has recently been married. What do you think about the groom? The feeling when you have interacted with the words groom, groomer, and grooming. I want you to think about how it felt, because you cannot resist the denotative and connotative attendant associations. And the most powerful of these are emotional. They are the feelings. And I think you'll see that all of the feelings associated with groom, grooming, and groomer are positive feelings. The groom at a wedding, the groomer who takes care of your expensive horse or your dog. Groomed, grooming, grooms, to care for the appearance of. In other words, to take care of your appearance. To make neat and trim. To make neat and trim. Somebody who is well-groomed. If you are well-groomed, what are the attendant feelings associated with that? Groomed himself carefully in front of the mirror. To clean and to brush. To remove dirt and parasites from the skin, fur, or feathers of another animal. All positive things. This is, you are looking at, in my opinion, but as CNN, you are looking at the most powerful form of control on planet Earth. And that is to use words that have positive emotional connections for the negative things that are inflicted on our people.